Welcome to Davita's Stampin' Spot. It's Tuesday and I'm ready with another tip. I'm going to swing the camera around because you know my tips are usually not very long for a video. All right, today I'm going to talk about our paper trimmer. A customer of mine that I've had for quite a while called today and we were chatting about the paper trimmer. She was ordering more blades, and I kind of went through some of the tips I share with people, and there were a couple she didn't know, and she said, "You need to share that on your Tuesday tip." So I took her up on that advice, and we're going to talk about the paper trimmer today. So our paper trimmer is $28. It goes out to 17 inches, which is really nice. I have to admit, I don't usually have 17-inch paper, but if you do, you can use that arm. It has a nice ridge right here at 6 inches. So what I like about that is I can put my paper in and bump it up against that, and it's a sure spot that I'm at 6 inches, which makes it really nice. We have two blades. There's a cutting blade and a scoring blade. With the scoring, you need to be careful. Think about the thickness of the paper that you're scoring. If you're doing cardstock, you can push pretty heavy. If you're doing DSP, don't push very hard or you'll cut right through your paper because it isn't near as thick. All right, so now for some of those tips. My first one is that when you're cutting, every time you cut, your paper leaves just some little tiny fuzzy pieces in that track. So I always just grab a piece of cardstock, slide it in that track, and run it down the length of the paper trimmer. And you can see there's a tiny bit of fuzz there. And I have to tell you, this is the second time I've done the video. So this is after 3 times of doing that because I did it twice last time. So you want to go both directions. So go this way, go the other way, and get all those little fuzzies out. And that's going to help give you a better cut. The nice thing with our cutting blades is the blade is on 2 sides. Do you see that? So if every time you cut, your paper trimmer is set up this way, you're only using one side of the blade. So you have 2 options. Turn your paper trimmer around, or take your cutting blade out, flip it around so that you're using that second side, and you'll get twice as much cutting out of one blade. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're cutting. If you start getting where your edges you're not real happy, clean out that track and flip your cutting blade around. All right, so now some more things. My paper trimmer was filthy. I had helped some customers out when they were at class. They already had adhesive on their paper, and I went ahead and cut them. And I started getting glue and all kinds of gunky stuff on my paper trimmer. So the first thing I did is I came over here to the edge. If you gently pull on this edge, you can take the guide off. Now, for those of you that do metric, we do have a metric guide that you can purchase. Ours here in the US always comes in inches, but you can get metric if you want to. So I took my Clorox wipe and I cleaned the track. And I have to tell you, it took more than one. So just go through all these grooves and clean off everything you got going on in there. Make sure you clean that track where you have your scoring blade and your cutting blade, and get all that stuff off of there. I also cleaned this off. What's so nice about this is the base, or the material, I guess I should say, of the paper trimmer is such that you can clean it with a wipe. It's going to dry nicely, and then you're going to be able to use it. And look how nice that looks. I have to tell you, mine was filthy. So then to put this back on, we're going to hook it on one side, gently stretch it, and it will pop in that other hole, and you're ready to go again. Let me tell you a couple more things that I've learned along the way. So I typed some names on a sheet here. And you know, it used to be that when I was trying to cut stuff and I wanted to cut it in pieces, I had the hardest time trying to get all the pieces the same size. So let me show you what I learned to do. And now my trimmer's wet. There we go. I'm using the lines here on my paper trimmer. So what I want to do is I'm going to line up the first letter of their name with this first line. Now I'm going to turn it around. Now, granted, some of your names are longer than others, but here's my longest one. This one's a little more difficult just because my paper's so long here. But I think that's about right. Like that. And then I love it this way. So what I do is I take the middle of this name and the middle of this name, and I line them up on the two lines closest to the track, and I cut. And I do the same thing with the next two names. You can do this if you're cutting out images. And I should do it down here to make sure my cuts are straight. And look, we'll do another one here so you can see. I'm going to line it up here so you can see the edge of my paper trimmer is actually off the camera. Now all of my pieces are the same size. So that's another tip for you. Just a nice way. I started doing that when I was trying to cut out images for projects because I would always end up cutting them too big, too small compared to the others. And that really helped. I've got one more tip for you. You're going to grab two rubber bands. And if you're taking your paper trimmer somewhere, take this rubber band and hook the paper trimmer or the cutting blade under that one. And then do the same thing with the scoring blade. And look at that. Doesn't move. I like this because there have been times when I've lost the blades. They've come out during transportation when they're in boxes or I've got them in a bag or something. So I hope these tips help. Hopefully you saw maybe something new or you were reminded of something you haven't done in a while. I will be on Thursday with a project at 4 o'clock. See you then.